Welcome to Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails. Carson was out turkey hunting this morning. You saw some birds, but nothing.
Just a couple jakes came in. I had 3 jakes come right to the decoy, but the Tom, he was a little hesitant this morning. So
yeah, and we're going to try to produce a turkey hunting episode before we're done here. But if we don't get more productive than that, it's going to be a long time before we have enough material.
yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. And it was a tough morning with the rain and everything, so it'll get better. But we've been talking about some of the projects that we still have left to do here. We've done some big stuff on the farm, and if you look at the Dream Farm series, you can see plenty of work that we've done with TSI, burning, planting shrubs and trees. Those are 3 big projects that we've more or less wrapped up. Now we've got food plots that we need to work on, but there's a lot of little things that are not related necessarily to the farm management part that can help us this fall. You know, little projects, small things we can be doing now that will make us better bow hunters in the fall. So I thought it'd be fun to produce an episode with 5 things that you can do now that will make you a better bow hunter this fall. Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails is brought to you by Redneck Blinds, Code of Silence Apparel, Hunt Stand Pro Whitetail app, Whitetail Institute, research equals results, B3 releases, XO broadheads, exact sights, Muddy Outdoors tree stands, Stealth Cam trail cameras, and Hoyt. Carson, the first one I thought of is one that we keep coming back to, and that is the fact we don't have enough tree stands up on this farm. And now is the time. If we wait until summer, it gets to be too thick, and it's uncomfortable being out there when it's 75, 80 degrees or whatever.
Mosquitoes are bad.
Oh yeah, and your shooting lanes don't make any sense because you cut way too much stuff because there's leaves all over the place. And I've tried it before. It just doesn't work very well. So now is really the I'd say the last few weeks of when it makes sense to, get those tree stands up. And I think we've picked how many different locations now?
Oh, 3 or 4 for sure. Good ones.
Yeah. And we have to move a blind, I think, into one spot. But when it comes to just hanging stands, at least 3 or 4 really good spots that we need to have stands in. And I used to always think, well, I'll just wait until the deer show me or the buck I'm hunting shows me where he's going to be. Then I'll go move in and hunt him there. And that was fine when I was younger. And it works pretty well when you're hunting by yourself. But when you're hunting with 2 guys and when you start getting, like I said, up in age a little bit, it takes so long for me to hang stands. And when you try to put 2 stands up, get it all rigged up for filming.
Yeah, the filming takes so much longer as well.
Yeah, just trying to find a way for the cameraman and the hunter to both be kind of halfway hidden, but the cameraman has the ability to film, and setting a tree up for that can take me, it can take me 2 hours. If you try to do that on the fly, it kind of ruins the whole fun of hunting, to be honest with you. So getting that done now is a huge task. What else can you think of?
You had mentioned just a couple small little kill plots.
Yeah.
You do right now.
Yeah.
That's a good time to do it.
Yeah, and I've always called them over the years poor man plots, because these are really simple, and a lot of people will do these on permission. You're not supposed to, I don't think, do this stuff on public land. I know guys who have, to be honest with you, but it's such a simple process, and you can make your hunting area so much better with just a little bit of effort here. And I've done episodes about how to create a poor man plot. In fact, we'll probably do one here in the next week or so, 2 weeks on the Dream Farm series. But you can do it with no tools, a backpack sprayer, a little broadcast seeder. And that can really improve the quality of one little part of your hunting area. It gives the deer an excuse to come to one spot. And as bow hunters, we need anything we can get,
right?
To bring them just into that, 30-yard or 25-yard range. And even a 1/4 acre or less small little clover plot on the edge of the timber near a bedding area can completely change the way that you hunt. So we're definitely going to make a couple of those yet. Let's see what else. The equipment. A lot of times I wait until the summer to get into my serious shooting. And I think that's a mistake in some ways because you kind of lose your eye, you lose your strength. You can maintain some of that in the gym, but if you're not actively going to the gym and, maintaining the strength of those shooting muscles, some of that takes a while to get back.
Right. Yep.
And the older I get, the harder it is for me to get that strength back again. And so just even shooting one day a week, 30 arrows, twice a week probably be ideal. Just 30 arrows at a crack. Doesn't take very long, but it keeps you in the game.
Just keeps those muscles loose that you don't always use.
That's right. Maintain or keep that strength. And that becomes more and more critical. Like I've mentioned, as you get older, young people can grab a bow and away they go, but for me, I have to get that strength built back up again when I first start shooting if I wait too long.
And one thing you don't want to roll into hunting season, you don't want to have to question if you can pull your bow back comfortably. You want to be able to just pull it back.
That's right.
Right now.
Yeah. And you may not have the opportunity to go through enough practice sessions in the fall or as you approach the fall to be ready. Also, I think if you're changing equipment, it's super important to get a head start on that. If you're going to change, obviously if you're getting a new bow, the sooner you can start shooting that, the better, because it takes a while to get used to a new grip, the way the bow feels, how the draw force curve feels when you pull back on it. All that stuff takes muscle memory, and it's not something that you want to just start in September because you're getting ready to hunt in October. And a lot of people do that, and that's a mistake. Also, even something that changes your sight picture, like putting a new sight on the bow, or something that changes your trajectory, like different arrows. I may switch arrows this year, and I'm definitely going to need a little bit of time to get those tuned, to get the feel for, how they fly and just gain confidence in that setup. So any bigger equipment changes, you definitely want to start early, and now's a good time for that.
Even a release.
Yeah.
That's a big one. I shot a new release last summer, and I didn't like it for 2 months and ended up going back to an older one.
Yeah, and if you hadn't had enough time to get used to it or try it,
right,
you might have found yourself partway through the season. I missed a really nice buck. I didn't miss him. I hit him low and lost him, which really sucked. I think it was 2018, and I attribute it to the fact that I changed my equipment too close to the hunting season. And that's part of the negatives of what we do, is because the companies will send us stuff and they'll say, okay, I need you to start shooting this now. Well, here you are right in the middle of the season sometimes. And I had put a new sight on the bow. I think it might have even been a new bow. And I didn't realize, how many clicks it took to get the light to register bright enough in a blind.
Ooh.
So this buck is there and he's 30 yards away, and I clicked it a couple times and I pulled up and I couldn't quite see the pins. I thought I could. And again, as you get older, you need more and more help. And anyway, I didn't have the pin in the right place and the arrow went low, and I didn't get that deer. So that was a mistake that really came from, not having enough time.
Just confidence in your equipment.
Yeah, just, learning what will and won't work. Another obvious one is spending as much time as you can online, looking at the maps, like the Hunt Stand app. And they're coming out with a new user interface now. And I've been using it right along, and they keep improving it. So it'll be fun to see what this new user interface looks like. I'm excited to start playing with that a little bit more. But that process of studying your hunting area to get a really good idea of the topography, where the funnels are. I mean, I've hunted this farm now since 2022, and I still study that online mapping, almost the year round.
Yeah.
Because
you and I did it last night.
Yeah.
You look at a trail camera and then you're like, oh, that deer was right here.
That's right. We spent probably 20 minutes looking at it.
Yep.
Because there were certain funnels, and we thought, well, these deer are living over on that end. Where should we, and you can see it all, and it kind of gives you the big picture. Whereas even shed hunting and scouting, you tend to sometimes get caught looking at it too small of a window.
Yep.
And you don't really see, like they say, the forest for the trees. You're too busy looking at the detail. You're not seeing the big picture of how deer move. Like between this bedding area and that bedding area, or between here and where they feed.
Yep.
So that's another really good thing you can be doing now. We said 5, so we need one more. Permission. confirming the spots that you've hunted in the past, finding new spots. Even if you're going into, let's say, a new area of public, understanding it better. And it's not too late in a lot of areas now because it hasn't really greened up yet.
Yep.
So you can still scout, but for sure, you want to learn the access if you're going into public. Like, how can I get in and out of this place without the deer knowing? That's like, even if you get nothing else accomplished, get that part mapped out now, because you can go back to the Hunt Stand app and you can really study all that online stuff to figure out, how can I hunt this? But you've got to be able to get in and out. But more important than that, if you're not hunting public and you're hunting on permission, is just maintaining those relationships. You know what? I had, back in my early days before I started buying land, I had permission on tons of properties. And I'd say half of them, I worked for those farmers. And that was part of the reason why I had so much permission, is because, one farmer would talk to another farmer and say, oh yeah, this guy came and baled hay for me. And the other farmer says, man, I could use a little help baling hay.
Right, a little bit goes a long ways.
I had multiple farmers call me and say, hey, I got your phone number from so-and-so. Do you want to hunt my farm? I'm like, I guess. And he said, well, I need some help baling hay this coming week. So anyway, the point is, you don't want to wait until a couple weeks before you start hunting to reestablish those relationships. It's super important to stay in the loop with the people whose land you're hunting on. And better yet, you've got plenty of time now to exchange some services, in exchange for hunting. If you're an electrician, do some work for them during the summer. If you're a roofer or a builder or whatever, all these guys need help.
Yep.
And if you're just an able-bodied young person, I mean, you can build fence and you can, cut firewood and you can drag,
Well, always offer it to them and make them come to you. Don't show up and say, I'm going to work on your house.
Right.
But put it out there as
Yeah.
a service that you can do for them.
Yeah, because it's especially the ones you're already working or hunting on.
Yep.
It's a little bit tougher when you're trying to find new permission to just come on that bold, but you can. I mean, I would really appreciate it if somebody said, hey, I'd love to, shoot a management buck here or do something, in exchange for whatever. I mean, I'm not necessarily going to say yes, because you can't always trust their idea of what a management buck is.
Right.
Some of these deer we're hunting might be management bucks to somebody else. But anyway, the point is, most farmers don't discriminate about that sort of thing. And if you say, hey, I'd love to be able to hunt here, I'm a skilled, whatever craftsman, I would be happy to trade.
A skilled trapper.
Yeah.
Trap raccoons, coyotes. I mean, all farmers are looking for people to do that.
Yeah, think about the guy you're hunting on.
Yeah. He says if I can kill as many raccoons, turkeys, and does as possible, then I'm good to keep permissions. So, I got to try to keep that relationship good and do the best I can in that form.
Yeah, and if you stay in the loop with them, you don't bug them, but you're just there often enough so that they don't forget about you.
Right.
And they don't forget what you have to offer.
I actually stopped in to a farm yesterday.
Yeah.
I got permission to turkey hunt and deer hunt this fall as well. So
Nice.
it's never too early to start looking for new properties.
Yeah. Yep. I think this is the prime time. Anyway, that's our 5. That's our list of 5 things you can be doing now, and I think that's a pretty strong 5. In fact, we're going to be doing, several of those ourselves. So keep checking back. If it's not going to be on this series, it's going to be on the Dream Farm series as we wrap up some of the things that we're talking about here. Well, we appreciate you joining us. We'll see you right back here again soon for the next episode of Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails. And remember to always dream
Big.